Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit scattershot. It's a lot of stuff, and we're just going to play around with the concepts. And as long as you submit something that kind of shows that you played around with the concepts, I'm good with it. Don't worry too much about specific details. So if I go back over, we've talked about the exam, and under the sketch domain, they have this create and modify a sketch. Now we've spent some time. We've talked about how to build sketches. We've talked about different options. We'll talk about project geometry in an additional video, but right now we just want to play around with how to edit a sketch. So the sketch options that they kind of list here in the domain are things like move. We want to be able to copy. We want to be able to trim, extend, offset, mirror, fillet, camper, break, and patterns. So we're going to kind of go one by one, and this is going to be interesting and fun. So here, let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Fusion 360. And just so you're kind of the same thing, make sure you have your document settings in inches. As always, the first rule of Fusion 360 is to create a new component. So this is going to be our edit sketch option here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch. I'm going to create it on that top view. And then let's just get started with one particular, let's say, rectangle. And we're going to make it 2 by 1. Nice and easy peasy right there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start going through the list as they have it. Now, if I wanted to move this thing, I could. So I could select it. I could say modify. I could say move. And then it has a number of different options. I can do basically a free move, which just allows me to move it around. I can then do everything from, I can translate it, I can rotate it, right? I can rotate it like so. I can also do point to point. There's some options. So moving's pretty cool. I'm just going to go ahead and create a copy. So we're going to create a copy and move it over. So right now, let's just move it over. Let's put it in here as 3 inches over. Okay, so now I've got the second copy over here. So now what I'm going to do is I've covered copy and I've done I've removed, done copy. Now for trim, let's see here, what would be the easiest way to do this? There's actually, I can tell you how to get it where I want to go, but having it like be able to provide evidence of it a little bit different. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to create a circle on this end over here, and we're going to make that 0.75. So now it's 0.75. So the function that I want to do in order to demonstrate that we can kind of do the trim function is I want to modify, I want to trim, and what I want to do is I basically want to make it where that circle is kind of this bulbing out kind of thing. So the trim function or trim tool allows you, let's go ahead and undo this so I can kind of show you one more time, is if I do trim, it's going to look for intersections, and it's going to show you sections that it thinks like, hey, this is the thing that you want to trim out. So for example, when I have this purple piece, it's looking at the edge of the circle, the outside radius or outside diameter, and it's looking at the point and saying like, hey, this section here is what I think you want to cut, right? So I can cut that. I'm going to do the same thing here. If I want to go over here, right, it will do that, and now it's just looking from edge to edge. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that guy out. So that's the modify trim tool. Now if I wanted to do an extension, so let's go ahead and do this. So keep in this mind, we've done the rectangle, we kind of had this 0.75, and let's say that I wanted to actually extend this guy all the way to the top for some weird random reason. So if I did extension, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend here, and then I can also extend it again. So it said, hey, I want to extend it to the circle, and then let's just continue to extend it even further. Hold on. Let's do this one more time. Modify. Extend. So I want to extend this guy, and now I want to extend that guy. And so now it has this, my shape up here is now split like so. So far we've covered we've moved stuff around, we've copied it, we've trimmed it with the scissors, we've used extend to continue out. Okay, so now we're going to do, let's say, two things. I want to do a chamfer and I want to do a fillet. So let's start off with a fillet. So it's just going to be a radius. So let's make it off this bottom right hand corner here. If I click here and then say I go in, I can then choose how I kind of want to have that thing set up. So in my case, I just want to do 0.5. No, 0.5. And then the last bit is, let's go ahead and let's do a chamfer. Equal distance. We're going to choose this guy here, and we're going to do the same thing. Let's say we want to go in 0.5. So fillet is going to give you a radius. You're going to choose the two lines, and then it's going to fill in the circle. You're going to do a distance. And then for chamfer, it's going to do basically what it is here. You're going to choose the two lines. Instead of a radius, it's going to basically give you, in this case, it's an equal distance. So what do I have left? So in my list, we were talking about move, copy, trim, extend, offset and mirror. So let's do this. So let's say I wanted to offset basically this entire thing here. So let's say modify, come down here to our offset tool. So let's select that guy, and let's just say we want to go, let's just say 0.04. Hit enter, and then that's going to give us the basically that offset. So we went ahead, chose the outside profile, and that offset, if we go ahead and look in here at the tool here, copies the selected sketch curves at a specified distance and then offsets it. Okay, so we covered offset. Let's cover mirror real quick. So modify, and we want to do, it's over here, underneath here. Let's do mirror. I'm going to select my objects. So I kind of want everything. I'm then going to select the line here. I'm going to select this guy. And then when I hit OK, it's basically going to mirror that entire geometry across, like so. All right. Okay. Last bit is we have break and patterns. So if I wanted to break, I can break geometry. We may have actually, let's see here. How can I do this in the geometry that we already have here? There's nothing that really likes it. All right, let's see if I added, let's see if it does this. And we'll just add this last little bit here. So in this case, I've created a rectangle, and when I created the rectangle, it now has these sides. And let's say for some odd reason, I wanted to just trim out this little piece here. I could do the same thing we did before. I could do my trim. If I do my trim, it may do some weird stuff, like you can see it do it here. So that trimmed it out. And the other tool that you can use is this modify or break. And so it can basically break the selections at points. So if you kind of look, it said, hey, I want to break your line at this point and create basically 3 lines. So at that point, I can just choose that small piece here, hit delete, and it's going to basically do the same thing. So trim and break. So trim just cuts it. Break allows you to break it into sections, and then you can delete the sections that you don't want. So let's do this real quick. We covered move, copy, trim, talked about extend, offset, mirror, fillet, chamfer, break. Last thing is patterns. This is long enough. I'm going to go ahead and split that off into its own separate video. So if you've been following along step by step, what we're looking for submission is basically something that looks like this. It should have something that has evidence that you've done some extensions, you've done some trimming. We have chamfers. I'm sorry, this is a fillet. We have chamfers. We've mirrored it across, and we have like that. So as long as it's close enough, you're in good shape. So there you go.